years and years ago, and I've been doing the broadcast side for 20 years now, but probably been 15 years ago. I was in Morristown, New Jersey, and Morristown's where they train seeing eye dogs. And most people don't realize this. Seeing eye, that's a registered trademark. Only dogs that go through the Seeing Eye Institute can be called seeing eye dogs. All the rest of them are simply guide dogs. And so I'm visiting with the head trainer at the Seeing Eye, and it's an interesting interview. And as an interviewer, sometimes you're looking for some interesting questions to elicit interesting responses, dig up some material maybe you haven't thought of before or others hadn't thought of. And so I winded up the interview, and I said to him, I said, what do you think is the most difficult thing to train a dog to do? I said, in my mind, that would be cross a busy street, because dogs are supposed to be colorblind. How do you ever teach a dog to read the stoplights to be able to know to cross? He kind of shrugged his shoulders a little bit, and he said, well, that's kind of tough, but he said, think about it. He said, it's not really the toughest thing, because he said, a dog still has instinct. You're blind, you walk up to the street corner, you give the command to go. He said, well, the dog still has eyes. It can see if a car's coming, and if a car's coming, it pretty well knows don't get in front of the car, otherwise it's going to get hit. He said, that's what we call intelligent disobedience. He said, that takes some time, but he said, they can figure that out pretty quickly. So that made sense. So I said, well, what do you think it is then? What's the most difficult thing? He laughed. He said, oh, that's easy. He had a big office window, and he looks out, and they have a big yard all the way around the Seeing Eye. He looks out the window and said, toughest thing's that big oak tree out there in the yard. Now, some of you already have an idea might be coming. I looked confused. He could tell I was confused. He said, well, how high off the ground is that lowest limb on that oak tree? I said, oh, it's probably about 5 feet off the ground. He said, yep. Toughest thing is when I put a blind person out harness, that dog must realize it cannot go underneath that tree anymore. Otherwise, I got a lot of blind people around here with a lot of headaches. He said, that's just not going to cut it. He said, when our graduates leave here, and they truly are graduates, you walk into the Seeing Eye, they've got composite photos, like a high school. They put every dog in a cap and gown. Take their picture, put their name under it, you flip through all the classes. He said, when our graduates leave here, they can no longer see the world from 2 feet off the ground. The most important thing we must train them to do is to see the world from 5 feet off the ground. He said, it's just like working with people. You only see it through your eyes, you're just going to give them a lot of headaches. And so I don't want to take an entire presentation and dumb it down to one picture, but much of leadership is encapsulated in this. As accountants, you're asked in this role to be the guide dog, to guide us as farmers, folks, in this case, and farmers, agribusiness folks, to get us where we need to go.